Hey guys, let's start here. Um, welcome. It's good to see you guys. I hope you had a great week. So, I'm going to talk to you guys just a little bit first. I swear to God, my eyebrows looking like it's off. This one, and it's driving me crazy. Oh well, sisters, cousins, not sisters. Anyway, I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit first before we get into these charts. So, um, full transparency, I went to Jamaica for a month. I should have not traded during that month. Um, kind of didn't do well, but I sat on my hands a lot that month. And even though I didn't do well, I didn't lose a whole lot either. And the reason being for that was because I played small. I kept my stops tight, and I only waited for my setup. So since coming back from Jamaica, I had someone who subscribed for my weekly watch list that I put out. Mostly swing watch list. Sometimes I do give some day trades, but um, that kind of kick-started a little community that Kiki and I have been talking about. So we open up Discord to everybody and kind of been doing that. So that distracted me a little bit over the last few weeks, trying to help build um, and then also trying to get back into the swing of things and also get a video out every weekend for YouTube, which is what I said I wanted to do for the next year. It was just at least get a recap out every weekend. I love the people who can do daily videos because, so anyway, what I really wanted to, so I know I'm rambling. I really wanted to speak on my discipline over the last couple of weeks. I really sat on my hands a lot. I have a certain rules that I abide by, and I stuck to my rules. I stuck to tight stop losses. Um, what I found is if you're using a margin account, using the strat, you need to swing because getting in and out of stuff, you're gonna be out of day trades real quick. So if you're the strategy I use is for my cash account, I use that's where I can be in and out stuff like that. The margin account, I enter swings there. And since I don't like to enter swings on Monday, I'm usually not playing in that account until like Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever my setup comes. So I was able to double my account and then triple another account, sticking to my rules. And that was giving time, um, cutting losers quick. And I'm gonna show y'all on how I cut Nvidia a little too quick. But the reason being was because I was in a 0 day TE, and like those make me nervous. So, but it was still something where I would rather cut it quick than hold on to a loser, which is what I used to do months back, hoping it would come back. Cut the losers, cut it because you can use that same money to um, get into something different. So, okay, enough of my soapbox. I think I've done almost a 5 minute soapbox. So let's get on to these charts. I am going to start with SPY. Most of this is going to be about SPY because we wanted to talk this week about broadening formations and about how SPY did what SPY did. Okay, so a couple more things before I get into this. I want to tell you about where you can find me because I talked about SPY all this week on the pre-market movers clubhouse channel Monday through Friday. I'm sorry, Mondays and Wednesdays from 7:30 to about 9 o'clock. Um, I go up there and sometimes I give what I see on the charts for SPY and QQQ, so people can get a general overall direction of what the market is looking like for that week or for that day. All right. So then I also had a question about broadening formation, so we'll go into that. But first, let's see. Let's go to SPY, and y'all see this right here, right? I'm going to take these all off so that we can draw these from scratch. Okay. So this is how. Wait, I'm supposed to have this over here. It's not doing where I can see it. I'm gonna have to. Because I know y'all want to see my face, right? Or do y'all care? This is as small as I can make it. Listen, we're gonna get this one day. One of these days we're gonna get this thing. I'm probably gonna need to go ahead and get the Final Cut Pro. So anyway, all right. So how would you have known about SPY? Okay, so you know when we're doing the broad formations, we definitely want to start on a monthly time frame. Look to see if there's a downtrend, if there's a still can't see it. I'm gonna have to make it even smaller. There we go. If there's a downtrend or if there's an uptrend, like where your broadening formations are at, that type of thing. And I think you should color code them. Which is what I do. I color code everything on my charts. All the lines. If I'm doing support and resistance, it's color coded by the time frame. So, starting here. Oops. Actually, delete that. We're going to start. Oh, no, that's not a low. That's not a lower low. Almost. So we're going to take this one. It does not have to be precise, and you'll find more than one often. Like sometimes you'll move them off. So okay, so since we're on the month, I always color code my monthlies to purple. And so then now, so what we're doing is we have a low here, a new low, right? Before it bounced up. So what we're doing is we're finding the previous low to connect it to. And this could almost say it's this, but when you get a straight line like that, it's not really a broadening formation. So that's why I like to use these, because I look for the megaphone, right? So now before this hit, because this is this month, there was no higher high here. So for me, I am looking at the downtrend that we have going on here. So I'm looking at that. Now this is a backwards broadening formation, but y'all will see soon. Okay. So now of course at the top, we have to draw this one. So this is the overall monthly broadening formation. You can see where we are. We touched, created a resistance, came back down, made a new low. So when we make broadening formations, they can broaden, but it tells us where price is going to go. So if we were to go back up to the top of this broadening formation, we could expect to make new highs. We'll hit 500. Going to the bottom, we can expect to make new lows because it's going to take out these people here and make a new low. 357 is where we're kind of looking at the bottom of this broadening formation, right? So then we go to the week, and it's the same thing. So we know we're in this range, right, for the month. So you're not gonna go all the way back there unless you need to. But for me, and everybody does this different, I draw the range that we're in. On the weekly, I don't feel like I really want to go back to January, but I do if necessary. So for me, actually, I take that back. Yeah, this is because this is the range I'm looking at right now. I will go all the way back there. So, but this is the range. See, we already have this monthly range. So the next range is here. So right there. And we're going to change this to yellow so we know the difference. Right, so we have this range. And then you can either do this one. Let's see, we already got this range here. So yeah, I'm going to stay over here and do this. Then I'm going to draw. So we already did this range. The next range would be here and here. Okay, so then we have our down trends, and then this one was just made. So go down to the day. And see how that works. Okay. So now that we have drawn the macro, the macro ones, when you come down to the day, you can get a better sense of an idea of what it looks like on a macro time frame to be able to draw your daily ranges, your daily broad formations down. So let's say that I did that. All right, so on the day, I would come here. Um, this is now a broadening formation. And then that is now one. Here's another that we can expect to hit. And another. Okay. So something I want to point out. Now we're going to talk about SPY. Now that I've drawn these broadening formations out and you can see kind of, we're going to talk about how I talked about it before I had these all drawn out. If you were just listening, because I still want you to see overall like what I see on the chart. So I'm trying to help you to see this. So I want to say back here on the 28th of July, maybe it hasn't been that long. It may have been 3 weeks ago, probably around right here. And I was talking to pre-market movers. I mentioned, and in our previous study sessions, I mentioned that, do you see this shoulder, head, shoulder? Yes, I am Strat, but I do not ignore the old things that I learned. I don't. I know head and shoulders. I know inverse head and shoulders. Those are just things, the moving averages, those are just things that I don't unlearn. But I don't base my trades on those. I use my trades based on strat entries, exits, stops, all of that. But when I'm looking at the chart, I don't ignore these things. So, like I said, the inverse head and shoulders is usually a bullish sign. I warned everybody that when we were in this range right here, that this range could either drop like last time or this inverse head and shoulders can play out. It played out. So then this week, this past week that came, right, I think it was right here. Yeah, no, once we started this, we touched, I mentioned to everybody that we were looking to touch 430 because, again, the moving averages. I don't base everything on it, but it's a magnet for price, period. It is. It was a magnet here. It touched it once. It has not come back. So now what I was telling everybody was that if to say we're really bullish, this needs to break, find some support, hold there, and then continue up. We didn't do that. You see, we touched it and immediately fell. Now, when you look at this, the way this is now, do you see the same way I showed you the shoulder, head, shoulder? That's called an inverse head and shoulders. It's basically the reverse of a head and shoulders. So now we have a head and shoulders. There's the shoulder, same shoulder. There's a head, and there's the shoulder. So this week I was warning people, hey, a couple of things. There's a head and shoulders that's building on the daily. Number two, we are in this range. We're stuck in a range. This is the same range that SPY was stuck in before. Ranges you should understand. I believe it's Sachs that talks about Ramon, talks about ranges. Understand SPY was in a range right here. SPY was in a range right here. When it's in a range and it's sideways and it's consolidating, it's usually like not a good time to trade it. I sat on my hands a lot this week and I made like so much money because I sat on my hands a lot. Um, but I mentioned that SPY was in this range. It's like the 407 to 417 range that it was going to be in, that we needed to see what it did first before, really acting. But even though it's in this range, keep in mind a couple of things. It's touched the 200. It touched it and immediately reversed and has not gone back up there. It had a gap, but it was really weak. So understanding buying pressure, selling pressure, that type of thing. Also understanding exhaustion. When we look at this on the week, we knew where we were exhausted, right? We have these broadening formations right here. We hit it. And if we hit it and reject with a shooter, I mean, this is why I actually entered puts on SPY last Friday, because we were at exhaustion and we ended with a shooter. So that actually worked out well. I ended up holding those, and it came right back down to the broadening formation. So I'm gonna delete these now, but I wanted you to see how price works with the broadening formations and how you should draw them top down, just like how you analyze top down. Um, I think that you should go all the way down to the 1 hour when you're trading it, especially if you're day trading it. Go all the way down and see, so that way you know the ranges that the price can move in. Understand the range. Understand range. So yeah, so I really wanted y'all to see this. First of all, that it doesn't say it here. It did say it last week, I'm pretty sure, if you go back on one of my old videos. But we have a PMG on SPY and on Apple. So if Apple falls and dies, it's maybe a bloody September. Okay. Um, but keep in mind, one thing I do want y'all to understand is that this 3 bar is pretty big. So it's what we call a mother bar. These outside bars, this is how you know sometimes price will stay stuck in this range. I don't particularly think so. That PMG, the downward pressure, I still think that we're going to go towards this gap that I mentioned. It's like a $2 gap. I said 380, but the gap is really like 378. It may take some time to get there because we had a really sharp sell-off. We had a large sell-off. SPY moved more in that day than I think I've seen it move in a day in a long time. I think SPY dropped $14 that day. 419. Yes, $14. That's a lot. That's a lot for SPY. Like SPY has had some good days, but $14 in a day. Yeah, I think they were hitting stops and stuff. But anyway, interesting to see how we open up. I don't really see much support here. Let me see. Do I have my fair value gaps on? I do. Let's look on a 4 hour. Maybe we'll see. The fair value gap I have is above it, which would make sense because price moved really quickly. So another thing I want to show y'all real quick. When we came down here, when we gapped down, we filled this gap, right? But then we were in that range that I was telling y'all about before. So seeing that price came up to almost fill this gap and didn't, that was like almost entry for you to see, like, okay, the bulls are weak. They're weak. You can see the difference. I've been telling on my weekly watch list that we have been in buy the dip mode. And although I want to be bearish, I see the strength of who's in control. And I was waiting for short the rip. I think we're there. And you know how you can tell is when you try to go for a gap, it rejects and gets pushed back down. So yeah, I think the bear stepped back up, and then also again remembering this shoulder, head, shoulder. I was looking to see if this shoulder would get invalidated, because if it were to push past this gap and keep going, it would invalidate it. But a shoulder can be all the way, it can do all of this. So this whole thing can be a shoulder. I honestly was thinking this was going to fall next week because, the shoulder was going to take some time to form. No, thanks, pal. All right, so anyway, what I see for the future, I do see a red September. I think we may need a little bit of, we are a little exhausted short term. So, we could possibly 322 up, but more likely we're going to gap down on Monday. Maybe even like we did last week. There is a small gap here. Where is this? Uh-oh. 4 hour gap, y'all, at 392. I didn't look at this before. That's not, it's not really showing up on a day, but we do have a couple of 4 hour gaps that we could try to go for. We got one here at 392, and then one here at 379. So, I don't know, y'all. I'm not really seeing much support here until, yeah, 398. It's not even much support there. Our next support might be this gap here at 392. So yeah, I'm pretty much back bearish on the market. I know that election season is coming up. I do feel like though we've been bullish for like 7 weeks, so it's time for a correction. So even if we don't crash right now, I feel like we will correct some. We're overdue for a correction. So anyway, okay, moving on. I've spent enough time on SPY. QQQ, same deal. Like, I mean, we might as well look at Apple because it's really moving both of those. They all look similar. If you didn't catch this shooter on Apple, this was another reason why I swung SPY puts. Mind you, my expiration for my SPY puts was September 16th. I normally don't swing puts or like to swing over the weekend, but this was like a sure thing. We're at exhaustion, top of the PMG, top of the Broadening formation. Look at this. Boom. Top of the Broadening formation. We hit, we rejected, and we made a tight shooter. I mean, that thing is tight. That's like right at the end. It's not much of a question on what's going to happen from there. So you got a PMG, you got that, we're far away from the EMAs. I'm like, all right, I can really assume that we're going to get to this 163.48. And we did. Now, I think it took all week. Yeah, it did. Because it did the same thing as SPY. But it hit it. So, SPY may have actually tried to fake you out a little bit. Thinking, okay, if you bought here. But think about that. I bought in on Friday's candle with an expiration of almost a month. So my stop was up here. Never got stopped out. Through all of this, I never got stopped out. And all I did was move my stop up. When we had this drop, I moved it up here. But then when we kept like kind of doing this, on this day, I did move it back up. Because I'm like, okay, we're going to come fill this gap. But I'm still not getting stopped out. I might add to my position there. I didn't because this just so quick that I was just like, okay, I'll just take my money. Alrighty. So yeah, I wish I had played 0 days on that day, but I played Nvidia and Nvidia shook me out. So even though I got back in, it still shook me out. Nvidia was absolutely beautiful on Friday. Like, again, I had never seen Nvidia fall this much, but this was textbook because when I was looking at it on Friday morning, I said, okay, this is nice. I like the setup right here. We're in this range, right? And we've taken these folks out. We filled the gap. So what are we going to do? Now, Nvidia just did not have good earnings. I don't like to play earnings. I like to play afterwards, and this is why. Because price decides what it wants to do, and then the IV is not that high. So I'm like, all right, they had bad earnings. They gapped down, filled the gap. Now we're going to keep going. Now, I don't normally like 322s, but I'm looking to play either direction. And, it's Friday, Nvidia is cheap. So I'm like, yeah, I want to get that. When we did this 322, I was in. And we zoomed. Now, Vidi is Vidi. Y'all know Viddy. It will stop you out. So like I got stopped out. I think the first time I got stopped out here, one of these, and then I got back in, and then I got stopped out again there. So like, but you have to keep your stops tight. When I don't keep my stops tight, I get clapped. And it was a 0 day trade, so like I was nervous, but I mean everything was in my favor here. Time frame continuity was turning, like it was riding this 8. Like I definitely fumbled that bag, but that's what these recaps are for. Lessons, figuring out what we did wrong, and I still made some good money off of Nvidia on Friday. So all right, so let's talk. Go back to QQQ. Look at that. That's just absolutely beautiful. Kiki has turned me into a bear because I love being a bear. But QQQ is, I mean, it's so similar. We have the same thing except this shoulder is a little bit different than Spy. But if you look at it, you still see. I want y'all to train the eye of seeing. It's like, look at me here. Shoulders, head, shoulders. So you got the shoulder, but then you have this lump, and then it just doesn't get back up. So it may not be uniform, but you have this, a higher high, but then another hump where it cannot get above that previous high. That makes the head and shoulders. Same thing on Qs. So I'm saying that, I believe that we don't have the PMG. Oh, we do. Wait. One, two. Yep, we do have the PMG on the Qs, Apple. So, again, I'm seeing red. I don't see any support on the Qs until about 293. So, and these EMAs are turning. Maybe some blood on the streets. Here is our gap at 295.71 for the Qs. So, shoulder, head, shoulder. Yep. IWM. I just like to look at along. I'm going to start doing this on a regular basis. SPY, QQQ, IWM. I don't have to look at all the sectors because Rob does that, Sarah does that. I don't know who else, but I look at SPY. Y'all know, if you know and you follow me, you know that I look at SPY. I talk about SPY. I've been studying SPY for the longest, so SPY is like always top on my watch list. So, and it moves the market, so I'm going to talk to you about that. Period. Same with QQQ because I watch Apple all the time. Listen, Apple. Wait, there's it. Apple ain't gonna keep getting all my money, and I'm not gonna watch them. Wait, I'm not gonna watch them. I don't even have. Oh yeah, y'all got me messed up. Yeah, I'm watching Apple. Yeah, I invest in Apple, and yeah, I trade Apple all the time because much money as they get from me, I ain't even pull out my Apple card. Anyway, so IWM is these small caps. Same thing, same deal. There were a lot of red 2-up shooters last week that went in force this week. And even though it may have been slow, they went in force. So I would like to remind you guys of that. A lot of the things that I was looking at this week I didn't really like, only because a lot of them are already, the 2s have went in force. So a lot of them are giving two continuation setups for next week. I don't like playing those. So, but IWM, sorry, got a little distracted there. Get to rambling. For me to be an introvert, I get to talking. It's like I'm an introverted extrovert. Okay, so yeah, same deal. Sometimes you gotta see it there, but really what you're looking for is that higher high, and then that right shoulder just not making it up there. So same thing. We came up to this 200 and we rejected. Ooh, thank you. Okay, so that's where I'm saying with IWM, I don't see a gap here. Yeah, we filled this gap because there are actually a lot of stocks that have gaps to fill. So yeah, I don't see one there. I'm not quite sure with IWM. I mean, the small caps have been doing good, but I don't see any reason that they would stay up when the market is falling. So yeah, we do have some room to fall there, but again, it's going to be a 2-2 continuation. So lots of PMGs on these weeks now. Does Amazon have a PMG? Uh, yeah. hmm This was my top watch last week, Amazon. Because again, of this shooter, that shooter, plus this gap. So yeah, I actually was in Amazon last Friday. On the gap down on Monday, I went ahead and took my profits. But then I re-entered on Friday for this outside day and for this gap fill, and realizing that it would touch these couple supports. But essentially, we have a head and shoulders and a gap to fill. Shooter on the week, then the shooter went in force, so that's why I swung this with some time. And Zom was beautiful. I have been telling y'all about energy since last month because we were waiting for energy to these hammers to go in force. And I mean, talk about taking all month. Like, it's okay though because we know that patience, PAY, patience, because when it breaks out, it's going to break out. But it's interesting because we've been watching it to break out all month, and it's like 3 days left in the month, and it's now trying to break out. So anyway, we were watching Zom to kind of try to break this low range out here, and we broke it. We may be at some. We can do this here, but I wanted to do this. Let's see that. Hmm. But the hammer is in force, barely, but it's in force. 97.40. So the target is 105. Zom could do that by Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. It could definitely do that by Wednesday. I mean, the ATR is $3, so um, but even if it didn't, I feel like it would just probably continue next month. Um, Full time frame continuity is still green on it, so we're still watching oil to keep moving. Um, we might need some correction. Well, that was our correction. We'll see. We hit that target here. So, sometimes from oil, from what I've been watching, they like to respect these EMAs. So we have a gap and we have an EMA touch possibly. So I can even see this also because we hit the top of the broad information, doing a 3-2 down. Could even 2 down all the way here if it wanted to come down and touch this 20, and then we can 2 up and keep going. I see a W here. It's bullish for me. But, we do have a broadening formation. A couple of them here that it needs to break out of. So, still watching Zom and Energy. CVX. Jermaine don't really need to watch my videos, but it's funny that we had this whole thing about CVX. And I want to go on record saying that when I talked about this, I said that CVX is not. This is not a Strat actionable signal. It's not a Strat signal. It's not. We don't have an entry here on the weekly with this triple inside week. But before I learned the Strat, I loved inside bars because I used to do the 3-bar play, if anybody knows that. So if I saw triple inside bars, I love that because I like to play breakouts. Or I used to like to play breakouts. So I would look for inside bars like that and wait for it to break out in whatever direction. As you can see, it broke out up. And for me, I wasn't looking at this to swing when I was talking my junk with Jermaine. You know, when he said something about it, I was like, it's not an actionable signal, but I might be able to still play it. And then what happened was this hammer. So we had the hammer counter shooter here. And when it broke out of this range, for me, that was okay. We good to go. Not necessarily we're about to go on the monthly, but we're good to go for at least a day trade because, you know, we have the signal right here. We have a hammer. We have a two down. We hit the bottom of this, the range we in, and we broke above this range. So for me, that was take it as a day trade. You know, the way I would play this, like if I'm playing it waiting for it to hit on the month, is I would play it as a day trade, and then once it hit the month, that 164.70, I'd roll it over for a longer expiration date to play that monthly move. So that's how I was, you know, looking at CBX and playing that this week. I think that was basically it. Was there? I wanted to talk to about some 50% rules. So keeping in mind that we only have 3 days of month left. I don't like, y'all know I like to swing for the most part, but I don't look at monthly setups for the most part when we only have 3 days a month left. The same thing with week. We're about to, well, we won't uncouple until next week, but it's still, there are a lot of twos on the week, so I didn't see a whole lot that I liked. So what I looked for, or what I look for at the end of the month, is the outside bars. Are there any 50% rules that have triggered, that are enforced, and that can still finish in the time left in the month? So you think about it as, okay, we got 3 days left in the month. What is the stock's ATR? Can it make the move? Are we bearish, bullish, whatever? So just a couple I wanted to show you. Shop on the month. So you got shop on the month. Target is 29.75. And the ATR is 317. So I mean, it can do that in one day. eBay is a little bit trickier. Um, it could be stuck sometimes, but then sometimes it can boom. So eBay could get it to the 41.22 level. Excuse me. Overstock on the month again. $2 ATR. It could do that. Now these things could honestly open up on Monday already doing it. So of course it'd be invalidated, but that wouldn't be me if I didn't bring y'all some 50% rule stuff. Beyond is almost done. It's like $1, so you know it can do it. But who's to say we don't get some type of little correction on Monday and then it finishes it on Tuesday? So these are things you can just watch out for. Marvel, however you want to say it. I think of Marvel when I say that. This has not quite hit the 50% rule. So it's one of those things where it's a red 2-up shooter. Even if it doesn't finish the 50% rule today, I mean this month, I would look at this to continue. So I would look at it as being a 2-up, 2-down. It won't make the 3-bar, but it would still continue to go down. So I'm still bearish on Marvel. Make sure that wasn't on the quarter too. Consequently, if it turns around, which I doubt it will, over 57.77 would trigger the quarter. But I wasn't looking at it for that. Oh, Baidu. I did want to mention to y'all. Baidu has not finished the outside month. China has been on a tear. JD did well. I think PDD. Oh, I'm getting to that. But JD already did the outside month. Baidu is trying to do the outside month. That target is 156.69. Well, here's what I wanted to point out. If it stays bullish, we will be triggering the quarter here at 154, 157.85. The 2 down, 2 up on the quarter will be triggered for Baidu. And PDD, 2 1 2 up It's at 68.60. That's not really a whole lot of. But I think this has, yeah, it's on the month. It hasn't finished on the month, the outside month. So 66.67 is that target. And if it hits it and keeps going, then it might push the quarter. So just something to keep in mind. Only if China keeps going. You know, y'all know China is a little weird, and it's a little, can clap you, can gap. So just be really, really careful if you're dealing with China. All right, so CRM, this is CRM Bay. Yeah, their earnings just so 157.65 is the possible target for that. MMM 125.60 possible target. Chewy, big old long shooter, and it's tight. But it can finish. It can do that in 2 days. FedEx, also another one. 210. BP. Now this is, if I believe, a quarter. Yes, BP on the quarter is green. So it could possibly hit the 34.30. Easy. You could probably do that in 2 days, but it only moves $1 in a day. So I would definitely give this time. September 16th at least. But just keeping in mind, well, this 2 went in 4, so yeah. On the week, yeah, there are 2, so I'm not quite sure right there. It filled the gap here, so it may not, but just something I wanted to, like I said, if I'm not looking at 2s, I'm looking at 50% rules on the month and on the quarter. GM is another one on the quarter that has triggered up. So if it decides to keep going, 44.45 is that target. Again, we're at our targets here. We would have to push past this, so just keeping that on your radar. Morgan Stanley, but banks haven't been doing really well, so I don't necessarily know if it's going to keep going, but I do know that that's actually a cheap stop. This is also setting up, if this turns red, to be a 2-up red for the month. To the possibly we can play this to the downside when September starts. So we'll just have to see. Last but not least is COP. That is another month, quarterly. But we know that energy and gas and oil have been doing well, so this could definitely make it. I would again give time on that. This hammer is in force and it hasn't hit the target, which is 124. So yeah, that's the target. That's the target for the month and for the quarter. So I really like COP for the bullish move. Of course, it may again need some corrective activity. We got a gap here on the day, so. But to finish the quarter out for the next month, COP actually may be a good move. So I'm looking at COP, energy, ZOM, CVX, and all of those. And China may be bullish while the rest of the market is correcting, because China has been beat down. So, and then they also did that. I think the China and the U.S. are kind of getting their ironing out the kinks about regulations and stuff like that. So we should be good on those. I think I'm at 45 minutes, y'all. I be trying to keep these low, but I can't. I have so much to talk about. I be trying to teach stuff. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions, comments. I'm here for suggestions. Don't forget, I have a weekly watch list that I put out. You can find all the information down below in the link tree. The Linktree link has like a bunch of resources. You can find me on social media. Find me on Clubhouse, where again I talk every Monday and Wednesday on the Pre-Market Movers Morning Show. You can find the Discord. The Grind Army Discord is down below. Not really. I mean, we talk, but yeah, I would love for you to join. And if you want to ask me some questions or something like that. And that's basically it. If you're confused about the strat, I made a guide that's also in the link tree. Watch some of the other videos and ask questions. That's the biggest thing is ask questions. Like I understand being a lurker, but I want y'all to ask. Sometimes I just don't know. But anyway, that's all I have. I'm gonna stop rambling. Thanks for watching so much. Bye.